reflect what took place. If there's a motion to adopt, we'll entertain that.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are adopted. Item number 1 under new business, approval of disbursement from District 4 improvement funds. Chairperson Busby, that's me. So that is I'm asking for $700 to help a group of University of Alabama student veterans who are marching from Tuscaloosa to Auburn with the game ball to open the Alabama-Auburn Iron Bowl. Tuscaloosa Police Department is charging them $700 to get from the stadium to Academy Sports, so I've offered to use district funds to pay for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Disbursement is approved. Item number 2, responses to RFP regarding Fire Station number 6, financing. Ms. Standridge, you're up, please.
Yes, good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
The item number 2 is a request to award the RFP that we issued an RFP for Fire Station 6 financing. If you will recall, Fire Station 6 will be built in the upcoming calendar year. The total cost for the fire station is $6 million. It was proposed for $6 million through the RFFI capital proposal that the mayor made in May of this year, and $2 million was awarded, and we would do another $4 million in financing. And so we released RFPs in October for financing options through local banks, according to the committee's request for structure of a 2-year line of credit draw period and a 3-year term loan ensuing after completion of construction. Once the RFPs proposals have been received, the finance team graded them, and we're here to propose a solution to give Regions Bank that award based off of their proposal that they submitted to us. The total interest rate is 4.79%. The total interest that we are projecting to pay over the life of the loan is about $640,000. Year 1 interest will be about $150,000 of that. The interest rate of 4.79 was the best that was received within the structure that was proposed in the RFP.
So a 2-year draw with 479 on the outstanding balance. Expectation 2 years to complete the draw,
Correct.
and then it converts to a 3-year term, I would
Correct.
assume, at our option.
Correct.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions, comments?
So moved.
Please compliment your people. I think that's a
Second.
nice package.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Item is approved.
Budget revision.
General Fund Budget Revision number 2, Ms. Standridge.
Yes, sir. This budget revision is requesting amendment to both the revenue section and the expenditure section of the general fund. We have received an ADM recycling grant in the amount of $380,000, and we are requesting to approve budget to receipt that grant revenue and then to also increase the funding available to the ESD department for expenditure of that grant.
Okay. Chris, that's your folks? Get that?
Sir.
Congrats. Now, you can sit down and take the congratulations. Nice job.
I think, well, so.
I
Chris, if you'll-
I realize it probably started before you took over, but if it had been bad, we would have blamed you for it, so you are entitled to the
Chris,
credit.
do you want to discuss what the grant will be used for?
Yeah, I can
That's just one thing that's
do that.
might be a good piece of information to have.
So it's a partnership with West Alabama Recycling. City of Tuscaloosa will be getting a recycling truck, a dump trailer, and about 12 recycling drop-off containers.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive.
It is. Gentlemen, any questions, comments? Is there a motion?
So moved. Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, revision is approved. Item number 4, approval of water and sewer RFFI budget revision number 2.
Yes, sir. This budget revision is to receipt funding that was received via the transfer of infrastructure between Westervelt and the city of Tuscaloosa for the sewer infrastructure. If you will recall, maybe a couple of months ago, we did an acquisition of infrastructure, of sewer infrastructure from Westervelt. Along with that acquisition of infrastructure came a payout of $162,500 that was supposed to be used specifically for set aside to improve the infrastructure in the area. And so what the budget revision is requesting to do is receipt that revenue funding and also set it aside to a specific project that currently is going to be titled the North River Yacht Club Low Pressure Maintenance System Project, therefore completing what the scope of the contract for receipting of the infrastructure requires.
And is that all 4 million of what's shown there in amended budget?
So the first
Or is that
line,
just the 162.5?
the 162.5 is just the amendment amount. The full $4 million that you see in that line of the amended final budget, that cost reimbursed line item is it's a revenue line that encompasses much more than just this one item.
Okay.
So that $4 million is made up of a number of different things.
Okay. Mr. Crowe, this is your neck of the woods. Any questions or comments?
I think it's good that we've received an asset, we're also getting some money for it.
Okay.
The maintenance
Mr. Wilson?
part of that to answer this question.
No, sir, thank you.
Is your motion?
So moved.
Second, whatever.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, item is approved. Item number 5, approval of Elevate Budget Revision number 3. Ms. Standridge, this is also you.
Yes. Elevate budget revision number 3 is to amend the Elevate Fund budget for grant received from the FAA for the runway 422 extension. If you'll recall, Jeff Powell has previously briefed the council on this grant and then the ensuing project for the runway. It's the one piece that we have been awarded for scope by the FAA is for the planning portion. And so currently grant revenues that we would be receiving are going to be $289,000 in federal dollars, another $16,000 in state, and then the match amount, that's another 5% of the total project, has already been budgeted for in Elevate, so that's already done. We're just receiving the grant funding and then increasing the budget for the federal dollars in kind.
Okay, so 289 for the grant, 16 from the state, 16 from us.
Correct.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions, comments?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Item number 6, schoolyard routes agency funding discussion. Mr. Tyner, you requested it. Would you like to intro?
I'll intro briefly. Yes, sir, thank you. Following protocol through Councilor Busby as Chair of Finance to tell them the situation with schoolyard routes. That after speaking with Nicole, they were not funded at all. And I wasn't aware of it, and other council members I've talked to weren't either. So I asked for it to be put for discussion on today's Finance Committee, and since then I've spoken to other councilors about it, and here we are.
Okay, welcome. You want to give us your name and
Yes.
position?
So my name is Nicole Duca. I'm the executive director of Schoolyard Routes, and I just have 5 minutes of information to share with you all. I want to thank you, Council President Tyner, for having us in, and thank you all for having me here today. Do I have a clicker? Okay, right here. Thank you. I'm here today because we have been partnering with the city to do our programming for over a decade now. What we do is we bring learning to life through hands-on teaching gardens in 12 elementary schools across Tuscaloosa. 8 of those are located within the city of Tuscaloosa. What we do is we provide a semester of garden programming for students every single year that they are in elementary school. We teach a standards-based curriculum, so we integrate science, math, reading, language arts all into the lessons that we do in the garden. And we also integrate real-world skills like entrepreneurship and social-emotional skills like cooperation, self-awareness, responsibility. All of this happens in our garden classes at schools. This is a little bit about the city partner schools that we partner with. We are with schools in nearly every district of the city, and we actually serve students from the entire city through our partnership with the Magnet School and our partnership with the Stars Academy and the New Heights Community Resource Center. Why do we do what we do? It's a good question. So national research shows that school gardens, students who participate in school gardens, show those students are healthier, they are more resilient, more empowered, they show higher science achievement, higher academic achievement, higher levels of responsibility and maturity, and they show improved relationships with the environment and with the natural world. Here in Tuscaloosa, over a decade of programming with our schools has shown outstanding results. 100% of classroom teachers and principals last year told us that our program made a positive impact on students, including that the students were more willing to try new foods and make healthier choices. All of these photos, by the way, are from our partner schools. These are all students who have participated in our program. They have also told us that their students connect their garden learning to their classroom standards. They've told us that students in our program are more engaged and actually more excited to participate in school. They've told us that students who have autism or who are nonverbal actually engage more during garden lessons than they do during the rest of the school day. They tell us that students gain a sense of responsibility, of self-control and independence in the garden. And they tell us that students collaborate and work as a team when they come into the garden. This is a little bit about the funding history that we have with the city. We have had a funding partnership with the city every single year since 2014. We, as an organization, fundraise over 50% of our operating budget. We do receive program fees from the schools that we work with, but over 50% of our budget is fundraised by our very small nonprofit team. We are creative, we are capable fundraisers, we are always coming up with new ways to bring in revenue. That being said, our partnership with the city feels essential to continuing the work that we do. And if we don't have that partnership, we just simply can't serve Tuscaloosa students in the same way that we have been serving them. I want to end with just an example of why this work is so important. I'm sharing these photos with permission from Tesney Davis, who's the mental health director for TCS. These pictures were taken last Friday. You can see by the looks on these young men's faces that they are happy. They are excited, they feel a lot of pride, and they've just done their first sweet potato harvest. Does anyone recognize what school they're at? There's one little hint in the photos. Does anyone recognize?
I do, but I won't say.
Maybe our heights over there.
Right.
Yeah, so these are students who are enrolled at Stars Academy. So these are 3rd through 5th graders who have committed a Class 3 behavioral offense at their home school, and they are now enrolled at Stars Academy in hopes of being able to move back into their home school. This is the first year that we have ever been able to do this program with students at Stars Academy, and I'm getting chills right now because it has already been transformational just in the couple of months that we've been able to be there. And I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to take Tesney Davis's word for it. This is a quote from her. She said, "Schoolyard Roots educates the whole child. We gathered our first harvest yesterday, and if these photos could talk, you would hear the words of our students shouting, 'Teamwork. I can help. You did it.' This little garden is teaching our students academics, entrepreneurship, self-confidence, self-management, healthy relationships, and countless other skills." And I think that's pretty amazing, and I hope that you do too. In conclusion, our program has been able to benefit tens of thousands of students across the city for over a decade, and we are grateful for the city's support and the funding that has allowed us to do that. And I just believe that now more than ever, this is such an important time to continue to fund and support this type of work for our students, and I hope that we can continue that.
Thank you
And-
very much. I
yeah.
appreciate you coming in. Can you talk to us a little bit about the budget? What is your total annual budget?
Our annual operating budget this year was $375,000. Next year, it's $380,000.
So are we
These
calling 24 next year? Or
Pardon?
Next year, is that 24 or
Yes,
20?
24.
So 380.
Yes, which these were our 2022 finances, which you have in the annual reports that I handed out to you. You can see 45% of that comes from program service fees from the school system, and the other 55% of it we fundraise ourselves.
So the money that you all are requesting from the city, would that fall in the direct
Right.
public support? Is
We
that,
put it under grants. We consider it a
you
grant.
put it under grants? And a program service fee, the school system pays that?
Correct. And we have contracts with the public, or with the city schools and with the county schools. So our county school contract is separate from everything that happens with the city.
Okay, so out of the 380, roughly 45% of that flows through the school systems
Correct.
as service fees.
That's correct.
Grants, any funding we provide would be in there.
Correct.
And give us a couple of examples
So
of other grants.
sure, we receive funding from the USDA through their Farm to School program. We receive funding from the Alabama Department of Agriculture. We receive funding from local family foundations like the Maccabee Foundation, like the Reese Pfeiffer Foundation, and everywhere in between. We have national grants from places like Whole Foods that has their Whole Kids program. We have Cliff Bar has a school garden support grant. We just received for our third year in a row the Belonging, Diversity, and Inclusion grant from the Southeastern Grocers, which is the parent company of Winn-Dixie. They have selected us to receive this grant now for the third year that it's been running.
And then direct public support.
So that's all of the donations that we raise from the public. So that's individual donations from anyone who might walk by on the street and wants to support us. It's also all the funding that we get from business sponsorships from local businesses. We do an annual fundraiser called A Movable Feast. We brought in $50,000 this year with that. And we had 33 local business sponsorships.
Okay, let's switch over to the right side.
Yes.
Program support fund. You spend 2% of that 380 raising funds.
Correct.
Program support 9%. What would program support be?
It's any kind of overhead that just doesn't fall under mission delivery. So any of our hours, any of our program hours that wouldn't go towards mission delivery, accounting, things like that.
Okay. Health insurance, I'm assuming that's employee health insurance.
That's correct.
And then mission delivery would encompass, that
Everything-
wraps up what?
Everything that goes towards supporting our mission. So
And what would the biggies be?
the biggies are, we have 3 garden educators and 1 program director who are all a part of, they teach at the 12 schools that we operate at.
So are the teachers your schoolyard roots people, or are
Yes.
they school employee
They are
teachers?
employed by Schoolyard Roots. They're employees of Schoolyard Roots.
Cool.
Nobody in our program is an employee of the school system. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We operate independently of the school system, but we operate as a partner of the school system, if that makes sense.
I think it does.
Just like the Boys and Girls Club, just like any other agency that does programming with the schools, but is their own nonprofit.
But the
Pride
school,
of Tuscaloosa.
the
is another
school's
example.
contribution takes the form of service fees.
Correct. It's a fee for services.
Okay.
Correct. But the fee for services covers less than 50% of the cost of programming.
Okay. Gentlemen,
So much
any
per
other
child.
Exactly.
questions, comments?
Exactly.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Nicole, for coming to present to us. I know that the ask was to get the 18.6, which I think President Tyner talked about, that wouldn't, that we're looking contingency. I would like us to look through to bump it to even 20,000 from contingency for this program. if we could.
And let me add, when I talked to her and found out what I did, first person I called was Carly, and, because you asked for money, but where you going, where's the?
Well, where the,
Right.
the hard part's
I
where
knew
from.
that you were on my shoulder and that's when I got the information from Carly that it could, one source would be contingency funds.
Okay. So, yeah, John?
I was just gonna say, Kathy Wood started a program similar to this several years ago at the Juvenile Detention Center, and it was one of the best programs
That was in partnership with us.
yeah, I thought so. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to give any credit to the reserve, but it was really one of the best programs we ever had out there.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. DeVoy, thank you very much. What President Tyner and I talked about was we'd have you come in and present today. Let us then go back amongst ourselves, socialize it, talk with the people in our district, and if one of the finance committee members wants to make a motion to vote on, we'll do that at a subsequent meeting.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 7, Ms. Howard. No?
What will you talk a little bit about what we're voting on, Mr. Chairman?
For item number 7? Well, I was expecting Ms. Howard to be here to explain that, but what she requested of me via email was that we have a vote on whether or not to refer the RJ Development incentive request over to staff for analysis, negotiations, and recommendations, if any, back to this committee.
And then we vote on.
If it comes back to us with a recommendation, that we then conduct a vote on that. But first would be volley over the net into economic development, I would assume, Mayor.
Primarily really finance at that point, looking at what the data provided by economic development and the developer.
But essentially a staff analysis, any negotiations that are a part of that, and then recommendations back to this committee. And I think 4 weeks would be an acceptable amount of time. Anybody thoughts? Mayor, do you think that gives them enough time?
I don't think it's not a very complicated.
Okay.
I think that's more than.
So what we will be voting on is to refer the RJ Development incentive request over to staff for analysis, negotiations, and recommendations back to this committee in no more than 4 weeks.
Chairman, as part of that analysis, will the analysis include whether this is recommended to us to be considered under Invest Tuscaloosa, or is that?
That would be
Determination.
under recommendations, analysis, negotiation, and recommendations.
Because my understanding of that is that that is supposed to be used for underserved areas, so that determination needs to be made by this recommendation and by this committee, correct? If we agree with that.
Well, I would think the recommendation back from Economic Development and Finance would include whether or not it fell under Tuscaloosa Invest. Just off the top of my head, I think that section of 15th Street would be a tough sell on Tuscaloosa Invest, but we'll see what the recommendation comes back
And
as.
the council will have, ultimately, it's in your authority to ultimately decide, and so you can reject, accept, or amend the recommendation that we provide you.
No,
So you will, we will give you certainly the Invest Tuscaloosa analysis too. I can't remember if it qualifies or not. I want to say no, but that area was also in the tornado zone as well, so I can't remember what we have or don't have in that area off the top of my head.
I'd like to see
That'll
what,
be
you know,
fun.
what it
Yes, sir.
does. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, is there a
I'd
motion?
make a motion to proceed with that.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Incentive request is referred back to staff for analysis, negotiation, and recommendation back to this committee in no more than 4 weeks. Any other items to be brought before Finance Committee? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.